So the next feature I want to cover is so that I can see who actually sent the messages. It's kind of annoying. I can see that messages were sent, but I don't know who sent them. So in order to do that, we need to make a few more classes. We need to at least figure out how a message belongs together with a client. So we're going to make some new interfaces this lesson. And in order to do that, let's just start by figuring out how we can create interfaces with Nest Cli commands. Now, again, just like we did before with the service, we have one here called interface now. So let's try and use that one. We're going to write nest generate, and then we're going to put in interface, just like it says right there. And we are going to put in /chat. That's where we want to put it, in the shared folder, right? And the interface is just going to be called chat client. This is going to be the client first that we're going to make into an actual interface, because I want the chat client to be a bit more than just a string. I want the chat client to have more information later on. There we go. Now we have the chat client interface. So a chat client needs two things in my mind. It needs an ID, so we can store that later on in a database somewhere. And the second thing a chat client need is going to be the nickname that we talked about, right? So that's going to be in there as well. So now we have a chat client available, and we're going to use this interface now inside our service. So what we're going to do in the service is we're going to get rid of the map. Instead, I want to start using an array now, because since I'm starting to use chat clients, they have more information, meaning I don't need to use the map to kind of bind them together anymore. I can actually store the information I need inside this single interface right here. So that means that now the chat clients is just a simple array with these clients in there. So let's go and fix the rest of the code. When we add a client, what do we need to do? Well, we can make it very simple. We can actually say, we need to say clients dot, and then we can push now. So we'll push onto the clients, and we can use curly brackets right here to explain, here's a new client, and he should have an ID. There we go. And he should also have a nickname. There we go. So that's all we have to do to kind of make this work right here. Give it a bit of spacing to make everybody happy, and there we go. Now, how do we actually get the clients now? Well, now getting the clients is very simple. We are just going to return the clients. There we go. We'll get the clients back, and then of course we'll change this into being chat clients that we are returning instead of strings. And how do we delete it? Well, that's going to be a bit of magic right here. We're going to say we want to change the list of clients, and we want to filter that list like this. And then you have a simple lambda expression here that you can do, and you can say client.id. If that matches the ID that we are passing in right here from the outside, we will keep it. But we're actually going to revert this, so we have to say if it does not match the ID from the outside, then we're going to keep it. That means that when this filter has been run, every client is still there that does not have this ID right here. That's what this statement is saying. Again, there are other ways to do this. This was just the fastest way in my mind. So there we go. Now we have kind of converted into start using a chat client instead of just a basic string. So that should be it for the backend. Let's just try and have a look right. Oh, we get an error. Let's see. Oh yeah, I can see that. It's trying to call filter of undefined. Let's just try and jump into our service right here, because the problem is right now, notice this is a mistake I've seen a lot, and I just made it myself. So I go in here and I define the type chat client, right? But it's actually not initialized yet. So let's just initialize it into an empty array right here, because the problem was that I tried to call filter right here for this client, and then I actually threw an exception because clients was not defined yet, because I didn't add that equal sign up there. There we go. Now, one more thing I want to mention before we leave the backend, because everything seems to be running now, is I actually want to rename this guy. I'm more of a fan of calling these guys, instead of interfaces, I call them models. So I know it's an interface, that's fair enough, but I want to be able to see which ones are my actual model objects inside the backend right here. So I'll just change that. Let's see if we can get that running. There we go. That's it for the backend. The backend is done. Now let's go and fix the front end. Now the first thing I'm going to need is actually I'm going to need to get the same model in the front end like we have in the back end right here, to kind of map those two together in the front end and the back end. Now, we could do that using npm packages, but let's just keep it simple for now and pretty much just copy paste this into the front end. And I'm going to be lazy. I could actually use a CLI right here. Notice right here, this command could actually create this interface for me, but sometimes it's just as fast just to create a new file right here, give it the right name. It's just going to be chat client model.ts like this, and just paste that code in there. There we go, we're done. Now again, it's up to you. You can use the CLI if you want to, Angular's ng CLI, that's really up to you. But I'm just going to do it manually right here just to make it faster. So now that we copied the model, so we have it both in the backend and in the front end, we can start using it. Now, what do we need to do to start use this model? Well, first of all, we need to go to the service and change things around, because the clients is not just a dumb list of strings anymore. It's actually a list of chat clients that are now returned from the backend. So I'll just change those two fields right here. And that's pretty much all I had to change in the service for now. We still send a string when we send a message to the backend. Good. Let's go further down. And what else do we need? We need, of course, to go to the component and explain to that one that you are not getting back right here. You're getting an observable of chat clients now. You're not getting an observable of strings like we are kind of saying right now. So let's change that one as well. There we go. Now the component knows that it's getting back chat clients. And the final thing we need to change is in the HTML. Because right now, you'll notice if I run the program, let me try and show you. Right now, when I put in a nickname right here, let's actually refresh the page. When I put in a nickname, you'll see it returns object. That's really not what we're trying to get. We want to actually be able to see who it is that logged in. So we're going to go back to the HTML. Instead of just saying client, we're actually going to say client.nickname. Hopefully then we can see the client's nickname. Let's try again. Put in a name right here. There we go. Now we can see the nickname again. Let's just clean this out right here so you don't see all those old errors. So we can write again, John, are you there? Find John right here. We'll say John is there now, and he can say, yeah, I'm here. Okay, there we go. Everything works. Good. So we are back and running, but now there's a huge difference, which is now we're starting to use some more intelligent domain objects, and we're going to do the same next lesson for the messages. See you next time. Have fun.